Another Brick fan here with a look at the LEGO DC Superhero Collectible Minifigure series. This is set number 71026 and was released in January 2020. It contains 16 minifigures packaged in blind bags. Each bag cost about $5, so an entire set would cost about $80 if you guessed right while buying the bags. The box distribution is fairly even, with a minimum of 3 of each figure in the box. Some of the figures have up to 5 in each box. The minifigures came packaged in a nice black blind bag, as you see here. And now let's take a closer look at each of the minifigures. Here are our first 2 minifigures. This is Mr. Miracle and Wonder Woman. Mr. Miracle here is all chained up, as you can see. So we'll get some of those chains out of the way so you can see the rest of the figure. He has the handcuffs and then the various chains on him. Wonder Woman, of course, has this nice blue skirt piece and then her lasso, her golden lasso. Get that out of the way. So let's take a close look at the figures. I really like the printing here. Dual molded legs on both of them. The green and then it moves in. The printing is very consistent all the way down here on Mr. Miracle. So I like how that looks. He has the 2 cape pieces. So he has the back, the big cape for the back, and then the one that stands up as kind of to go around his collar and the back of his head, which creates a very nice look. Wonder Woman's skirt looks really good with the dark blue and white stars. She has a good printing on her torso here. The flesh color is not too bad, although it does have a little bit of the red bleeding through. The hairpiece has this nice tiara on it, which I think turned out really nicely. Makes for a good look. As we rotate around the figures, you see that Wonder Woman has her signature bracelets that are printed on her arms, which I think is a nice touch. Moving around to the back, there is no head print on the back of Mr. Miracle. And if we fold his cape out of the way, you see that they continue the good torso printing on his back. Wonder Woman has some blue here on her legs, and then an alternate expression, and some more printing here on the back. Once again, the flesh coloring is just a little bit of red bleeding through, but not too bad. Let's go ahead and move on to the next 2 figures in the series. Next up, we have Aquaman and Stargirl. This Aquaman seems to be based more on the new DC movie franchise as opposed to the traditional Aquaman with the green and orange uniform. He has more of a green and gold uniform here. The long blonde hair. Stargirl is a more obscure DC hero. I equate her a lot to Captain Marvel from the Marvel Universe. I like the face print here with her mask and then the light yellow or very blonde hair, whereas Aquaman has a more yellow coloring of his hair. He comes with this fish piece. And oddly enough, he has this claw for a hand, which I'm not exactly sure why they chose to do that. I've never seen Aquaman with a claw hand. Stargirl comes with this staff with a interesting top piece done in this trans orange color. Moving around the figures. Well, first you see this really nice gold belt for Aquaman, the green printing that goes down his legs here, and the scale pattern. He has some chest armor here done in silver. Stargirl has this nice red belt, and then the star on her chest here. Looks like the legs are perhaps dual molded with black on the bottom with some, again, little flesh color, maybe making it look like she's wearing shorts. They both have some side printing. You see that the side printing goes down the arm and the leg here on Stargirl, which is nice. Some more of that green scaling pattern here on Aquaman. And then each has some back printing as well. So here's your alternate face for Aquaman. Get that turned just a little bit. And then Stargirl also has an alternate face. You can get a better look at that mask printing. She has more of a concerned face, I think, in this case. But again, they're keeping that consistent background. A little bit of flesh color coming through here, or maybe some white, and then a red belt here, which I think looks very good. The side printing continues on this other side, both down Aquaman's leg here as well as on Stargirl. Looks like Aquaman's legs are also dual molded, so they're both black on the bottom and then green and blue respectively. Good figures, although I'm a little confused about this claw piece, as I said earlier. But still nice figures. Let's go ahead and move on to the next two. Our next two figures are both villains, although Sinestro here on the left started out as part of the Lantern Corps until he became corrupted by the yellow lantern and color of fear, if you are a comic book aficionado. I do like this printing here on this trans yellow plate. It's just a small rounded plate, 1x1 rounded plate that has this nice ring print, and then it has the little stud with a post in the back that is used to allow minifigures to hold on to different things. That lantern piece is nicely done in the yellow. I think his skin coloring is very accurate to the comics, and I like the uniform that he's wearing. The combination of black and blue, along with some gray elements. He, of course, is an enemy of Green Lantern primarily. Next to him is Cheetah. Cheetah is a villain of Wonder Woman. See her fight against Wonder Woman in several of the comics, although she does fight against others, and I think they did a great job in continuing the printing here of this leopard print or cheetah print from head to toe, which was done very nicely. In this case, the flesh color here turned out pretty well from the print. I like the claws here in the front on her feet. Looks pretty good. And she's holding a money bag, which is a nice little accessory to get. You see that Sinestro does have some printing on the sides of his arms, which is good. And that dual molding here provides for a good looking foot piece. Cheetah's got printing along her side and all the way down her legs, which I think is a very good touch. And as we move around, you can see that she does have that tail piece as well, which looks good. We're continuing the printing along Cheetah's back, which looks very good, and then this head piece, of course. Quick look at the alternate faces for both of these characters. Both look very good. Moving back around to the front, you see the other sides are the same as we had before. So there are our first two villains from this minifigure series. Next up we have Superman and Green Lantern. This is not Hal Jordan, this is actually Simon Baz, who was another of the Earth Green Lanterns. Superman is carrying a copy of the Daily Planet. This copy of the Daily Planet is a very nice piece. Really good print on that. Might be a little washed out there in the light. Good printing on Superman with the nice abs here done in dark blue. His, of course, signature Superman logo there on his chest. He has the newer red cape here in the back. Looks good. Some little character on his cheek there looking, and then the hairstyle is more towards the Harry Cavill play of Superman from the new DC universe. Some good printing there on the bottom of his feet. Green Lantern has the same print as Sinestro does, but I don't think it pops as well as it does against the yellow. So this is a trans green rounded tile, and again connected to one of those clear connector pieces with a post. The lantern is the same, just done in the green instead of the yellow. As you can see behind, he has his Lantern Corps uniform on in black and yellow with a little bit of gold accent there around his feet. The legs are dual molded. And then of course he has the print for his face on a black minifigure head, which I think looks very good. Let's get that lantern out of the way. Superman's side is pretty plain, as you can see, but there is some printing here on the shoulders for Green Lantern or Simon here. There is also some nice printing on the back of the minifigure head, just a little bit of greenish yellow detail there, as well as, some contouring on the back. Superman has a little bit of printing back on his back here, and he does have an alternate face. Looks like he's getting ready to use his X-ray vision in this one. So we move around, see again some of that side printing. Now let's move on to our next two. Next up we have Cyborg here on the left, and then the classic Batman, or the original look of Batman. You see him in the nice light gray with the black accents, and then the cowl is much different with the much larger bat-like ears instead of the smaller ones which you see from the modern Batman. I think it's a good representation of that. Interesting choice of using these lavender hands for the gloves that he's wearing. And his Batarang is actually done in a blue color instead of the black that we normally see. Cyborg, I really like this headpiece. It does a great job of showing off the mechanical and then human side there. I think the eye, this thing up top here could be mistaken for the eye instead of this red part here, so it looks a little different, although he's got that, so he's got a light there in the center of his head and then the red line there for his other eye, which I thought looked a little bit confusing. Though I do like the printing. Both of these have dual molded legs, Batman having the black on the bottom and then the Cyborg using the silver, and there's some good coloring here for his skin that shows through on his legs. There are some other accessories with this purple chain for Cyborg, and then there's a big rope piece here for Batman. Let's go ahead and move around the figures. You see the nice printing on Batman here with the abs, the bat utility belt here, his bat belt. Cyborg is done in the gray with a lot of silver accents. Good printing along the arm here for Cyborg with a silver towards the bottom and some exposed flesh up on top here. Looking around the back, you see the nice printing here with all the silver accent. If I move it around in the light, you can probably see how it reflects a little bit. So very nicely done there. The back of Batman is very consistent with a few lines there to show some detailing, as well as the continuation of his utility belt along the back. Get another look there at the blue Batarang we have. It's the same Batarang piece, just done in blue. And the printing, which I didn't point out before, on Cyborg along his legs actually looks very good as well, with some good skin tone coming through and then use of the gray and silver for the rest of him. Looking on the front, I think the printing here from his torso down to his legs all fits up very nicely. Again, it's done in that silver. You can see the reflection when I move him around in the light. Two very nice figures. And let's move on to the next two. Here are our next two, and we have a villain and a superhero. Once again, a little known superhero, but this is Huntress on the left. And she has been a villain of several of the DC heroes in the past. She comes with this bow This crossbow piece, pretty standard. I've seen this quite a bit. She does have a utility belt done in purple. This is an additional piece that you connect between the legs and the torso. The printing on the torso is done very nicely with the purple and silver or gray accents. Printing down the legs is good. Once again, dual molded in black and purple. Metamorpho, who is also known as the Element Man, because he can create different elements. You see his one leg is done in like a mud or stone, and then his other is in this clear. So perhaps liquid or air as a representation there. He has a large handpiece on one side, and then the orange on the other side. As we move around the figures, you see there is some printing here on his arm, as well as down the side of his clear leg, which again I think is more of a water representation, but that's entirely up to you to figure that out. I like the hairpiece they chose for Huntress. I think it's very good. Nice long black hair. She does have this alternate face, and you get a good look at the mask print here on her face. Her back printing is pretty consistent with the front, with just some contouring and stuff with small lines there. Metamorpho has, again, more continuation of the pink and orange that we saw from before, which is very consistent. You get a better look there at his kind of leg. It looks like it's made out of mud, perhaps. So there you see some flow through it, kind of like you saw with the other side. You see that there is a little bit of printing here up on Huntress's shoulder, which is a nice touch. Metamorpho, of course, doesn't have an alternate face because he is bald here, as you see. Once again, a couple of more nice figures in the collection. And let's move on to our next two. Here are our next two figures, and again we get a villain. So this is Joker. What DC series wouldn't be complete without Joker, and of course Batman. I really like this Joker piece. I like the lime green hair piece. Looks very good. That sinister look on his face I think is just perfect. The printing for his suit works really well and comes right down, and the printing is aligned really well between the torso and the legs, which I thought was good. The pink piece, this is a recolor of the beehive piece, but I think it looks great as cotton candy. He has this tile, this printed tile piece of he has a printed tile piece of the Joker card, which also looks very good. Bumblebee is our other character. As you can see, she has this Bumblebee pattern on a kind of a half shirt, the black legs. She has these lightning pieces here that come out of her hands as kind of an action feature. So I think that's nicely done. The face print is pretty cool with these big goggles, and then she has this nice hairpiece with the dual buns on the top. Moving around the figure, you see that Bumblebee has some wrist printing as well on her arms, which is very nicely done. And these very cool clear wing pieces. And then underneath you see that continuation of the Bumblebee pattern on her shirt. Bumblebee is the only one that has an alternate expression that you can see here, a more angry face. Joker simply the white headpiece. Let's go ahead and move on to our last two figures. Here are our last two minifigures. In this case, we have the Golden Age Flash, who was Jay Garrick. I think it's very accurate to the look, which had the kind of round disc type helmet with the lightning wings on it. The red and blue with the dual molded legs again, using red and blue. Next to him is Batmite, who I don't know is necessarily a villain as much as he is a nuisance. He's Batman's biggest fan from the Fifth Dimension. I believe was the backstory, and he has all kinds of magical powers, and he causes all kinds of problems for Batman whenever he breaks over into our dimension. See, he's wearing the nice cowl here with a bent ear on one side. I think that's cleverly done. Here's the Detective Comics that he's holding. This is the original appearance of Batman before he had his own series, and you can see he's in that same style as the minifigure that's included with this set, so I think that was a really nice touch. As we move around these figures, you can see these large lightning bolt pieces that are coming out of the back of our Flash figure. Those are nice to represent him running very quickly. Obviously, he causes some lightning and stuff like that are often depicted in the comic books. They are quite large and I think a little disproportionate to the figure, but nice pieces to get in this trans yellow color. Looking down on his dual molded legs, you see he does have a little wing here on his ankle. He has a wing here on his ankle, which is nice, as well as the wings on his helmet. You see the attachment on the back that allows him to wear the lightning bolts. Kind of covers up the texturing here on the back, but that's just some black lines in the red. Batmite, of course, continues with some texturing here with some lines, and then the utility belt along his back. Obviously no alternate face for the Flash, and either for Batmite. But if we go back around to the front, you see that kind of silly look on Batmite's face with the Batman, the cleverly done Batman silhouette kind of highlighting behind his eyes. So even though as much as I like this little helmet piece or cowl piece that he's wearing, it does cover up some really nice face detail on the character. Another interesting detail about this series was Lego included some additional pieces, which are these jumper plates here, as well as these clear kind of angled pieces with a stud on them. Pretty hard to see as a clear piece, but these allow you to pose these characters in lots of different ways. And there are enough of almost every figure in this series comes with these pieces so that you can pose them up on the stands. You see you can angle him this way and see Green Lantern flying. I really like how you can pose the Flash to make it look like he's running. So you take a little bit of care there and you can show him running, which makes these lightning pieces on his back obviously much more relevant. Batman here can be jumping through the air, or if you moved this rope around, he could perhaps be swinging from the rope here. Wonder Woman kind of posed off to the side as well. Here's Sinestro, once again flying through space, or flying to whatever destination he has. So the addition of these little pieces adds a lot of posability to what you do with the characters when they're on display. To sum this series up, I was very happy to see a DC Superheroes set. All of these figures are different, obviously, than the ones we've gotten in previous DC Superheroes Lego sets. I do like a lot of these quite a bit, as I pointed out while going through them individually. I think some of my favorites would have to be the original Batman, here in his classic costume with the long bat ears. I thought that was a really good figure. The Golden Age Flash is a very nice one, although I think those big lightning bolts in the back may be a bit overdone. They're pretty large compared to the figure, although I guess it does give a fairly good look for the figure itself. And that Joker figure is just great. I like the white suit. I really like the sinister look on his face, and that cotton candy piece is pretty fun. This series is still available at the time of this recording, so hopefully those hints on feeling out some of these figures will be a benefit for you. Hope you've enjoyed my thoughts on this minifigure series. and I'm going to get going on another video. Until then, happy building. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more of my LEGO content. And I've left a few links up to some other videos here on the screen.